Yeah, so we are here, and I would like to welcome everyone on this webinar where we are inviting and welcome Monica Dubey. She is joining us for this webinar for giving her time. I request Monica to please switch on your video so that everyone can view and can see you. Yes, thank you so much, Monica, for your video. So let everybody join. Till the time, I would like to just give a brief about the ProTouch, that what ProTouch is and how the ProTouch is dealing with different things and different kind of trainings into the industry. Basically, as I would like to introduce about the ProTouch, ProTouch is a professional training organization where we are giving a training into a different verticals of HR domain and a part of that different domains into the industry. So as basically ProTouch is there, which have three different verticals over here. One is PPT, which is a ProTouch professional training, which comes under the different trainings like for HR journalists, for HR executive, for HR analytics. So these are the different trainings which comes under the PPT. We have a second vertical, which is PCT, that ProTouch corporate training, which is to give the training to the corporates directly, giving trainings into the organization. So reaching out to different people, different organizations for giving their trainings to them. And thirdly is our PET, that ProTouch executive training, where we are associated with IIM, XLRI, different organizations for associating their courses and getting the candidates to enroll for their courses there. So ProTouch is basically to enhance and boost the career of HR who wanted to enhance their field, who wanted to improve their skills. So ProTouch is there for them. Secondly, I would like to introduce about Monica. Monica is there with us. Hello, Monica. How are you?
Hi, Vanna, I'm good. I hope you are doing great too.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. So I would like to introduce about Monica herself, that she has completed her graduation from Delhi University. And after that, she had completed her MBA in HR from the University of Pune. And she's started her career as an event manager. And after that, she moved on to HR executive level. She worked with Vicky. She worked with a different organization. Now she is working with Sagacious IP industry company, working as a senior HR manager. So she's here with us, going to talk about the different concept and different scenarios into the industry where we are going to talk about. Welcome, Monica. Thanks for your time to giving to us.
Thank you so much, Vanna. I would just like to correct one thing. I'm sure that you have picked up a lot of stuff about me from LinkedIn. So
Right.
thank you so much for the kind introduction. So the
Thank you
event
so much.
management part was actually some stuff that all of us have done during the graduation days. So I was a very active student in the college days also. So this was not a regular job that I was doing. So the corporate journey I started with the Cottage Industries Exposition in the HR field itself, but that was an on and off work that I used to do in the events. Just wanted to.
Right. Thank you
Thank you.
so much, Monica, for correcting me. Even I can say thanks for the corrections. So as we can say about it, so as we are going with the topic ahead, I hope everybody must have joined. So let's start with the topic. Monica, can you just give a one light on this topic that we're going to cover up?
Sure. So the topic that we are covering today, I welcome everyone here. First of all, thank you so much for giving your time, and I thank Dr. Aparna and ProTouch Vandana also for approaching me for this discussion. We have been in touch for several other activities in the past, but I was delighted to be part of this discussion. So the topic that we are discussing today is the role of HR in translating the vision of the leaders, of the leadership into actionable goals. So for that, what exactly I can see is let's start with understanding what HR actually is, right? Where do we stand right now in the HR? So I'm
Right.
sure there is a brief that I would like to discuss. I'm sure we remember there used to come an ad on TV some years ago, and it was like there is one sofa which is being passed on from generation to generation, from family
Right.
to family to different households, and everyone is wondering कि ये सोफे का ad क्या चल रहा है, what is happening in this ad, right? So शर्मा की बहू से फिर वो मिश्रा की बहू पे गया, फिर उनकी ननद पे गया, ऐसे करते करते it passes on to centuries and to different households, to different people, actually different years, right?
Right.
Geographies, several geographies it's covered. And may we discover that the ad was actually about, you remember किस चीज का ad था, Vandana?
That's Avico ad of Fevicol.
Yes, so it was
Right.
not about the sofa, it was not about, like, in fact, the families, the times, and the years, and the geographies. It was about the Fevicol, which kept the sofa intact. Fashion change होता रहा, जगह change होती रही, but वो सोफे का, क्योंकि फेविकॉल का जोड़ इतना मजबूत था ना, that it stayed at ground. So guys,
Right.
what I believe now, the HR is the Fevicol of the organization. Okay, so there
Truly.
can be, yeah, multiple functions there, and which
Yes.
individually are required, but individually if they keep on functioning, the organization does not succeed. It
Right.
needs that glue जहाँ पे everything is aligned, सब एक साथ चल रहे हैं, नहीं तो we do not succeed that way. So the glue of the organization, the fevicol of the organization is HR. So I understand this thing, and this is what I accept, that we are the glue of the organization. So when we talk about this topic also, where we are
Right.
discussing translating the vision of the leadership into goals, so this is what the main area is. Every department, every team, they are functioning in their individual capacity, they are doing well, but aligning everyone together and ensuring that they are aligned with the goals of the organization, and their individual functions are contributing toward that goal, that's where the role of HR is, and that's the most important thing.
Right. So surely, as everyone must have understand what exactly the HR has to do in the organization, fixing the things, being in the strongest pillar of the organization. So basically, as we are to go ahead with the session, so I'm going to ask few questions from Monica, and I request everyone to keep yourself on a mute mode so that it will not disturb in between. Yes, you people can keep your questions ready with you. You can also type your question in the chat box so that we can take those questions one by one after having the conversation with Monica. Thank you so much. So let's start, Monica. I'm going to start with the first question. That what is the traditional role HR was focused upon more than on admin and the routine kind of activities, basically. As per now, however, now business expects HR to contribute on a business front as well. So how does HR contribute into the business? Basically, as what we would like to understand that how HR is helping in an organization for the business perspective.
Thank you so much for this question, Vandana. So earlier we used to have personal departments. We used to, in the traditional setup, we used to call them the personal departments, where the filing work was being done, the letters were being rolled out, the leave management was happening, and this was in late 80s, in some part of 90s also this was happening. Then in the 2000s, the emergence of the human resource department came up, which was participating there was terms like induction happening there was inclusion happening, and then in 2000 things went ahead, where it was understood that employees are the partners. Basically, they are not just people who are just a machine, and they are people. Considering their feelings and involving them in the business is where it will take things ahead. So the role of HR has only gone ahead from that time. It has only emerged from that time because the importance of HR has been understood that way. So as I said, the glue part, where I was trying to understand the Fevicol part, here it again, that analogy comes into play, Vandana, that each department is working and on its own capacity, and they understand, okay, this is what we are doing. So see this thing as a relay race, this discussion. Let's say all the departments, they are doing their part, but unless and until their part is done and the bait is transferred to the next department, the next department won't be able to do it. So keeping that transition there, the alignment everywhere is intact. This is the most important part, and this is where the development of the culture and keeping this alignment in place is where the HR's roles is the most important in any organization.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your answer. So I hope everyone is getting ready with their questions as well, so that they can have their answers. My next question is to you: how HR can develop business acumen? Sorry.
Vandana, this is a very important question that you have asked. So this, in this ever changing environment, it's really important that HR partners emerge as the business partner. The role of HRBP is important, the business partners in the organization. So keeping yourself upskilled is the first step towards ensuring that you know what is happening. So to be a part of the business, you cannot just keep on thinking traditionally. So the market is changing. Not just understanding the different, the orientation should be good. Then not just understanding what the business is, but the impact that the HR has on it. So for that, I think ProTouch is doing a great job here in providing upskilling to the HR people in that area, not just the students who are fresh, but also those who are working in the organizations currently, because there can be tunnel vision, there can be stagnation while you are just doing your job in one go. But when you start seeing what is happening in the market and then you keep yourself upgraded, that's the most important part in being the business, developing that business acumen. So I found the HR analytics course very helpful in that. So for those who have not they don't know much about it, so this is analytics is one important part, and I in fact had interaction with Dr. Rahul, Mr. Rahul Sethi for that, and I that was really impressive, and that was really helpful for. So this is important to be part of it. Then uh, there is one more thing from the employer's end that we need to discuss. The HR needs to understand the seat on the table. At times when business is being discussed, sales is being discussed, it's thought that okay, when we'll be discussing about people, then we'll have the HR in this discussion. Abhi to we are discussing about the sales figure, the HR is not required. But this needs to change, and this is changing. The recent example, how many of us like see the HR being the CEO, so Leena Nair, so that's in the news,
Right.
everyone is reading about it. So she has been the CHRO of Unilever, and now she has been promoted as, and been invited as the CEO of one of the leading brands in the world. Most so this is the role of HR, that when the organizations also, the management also understands, so that what the importance of HR is, the HR becomes a part of all the decision making, and then the future of that organization changes from there.
Right. Thank you so much. Thanks for your answer. So basically over here, we have one question, and that question is by Hazam Moin. He wanted to know that what strategy HR need to make for smooth functions when they hire the LGBTQ, as still they erase stereophysicals we have to organization. We have an organization, sorry.
So yes, thank you, Hamza, for this question. I'll read it again for you. What strategies HR need to make for smooth function when they hire the LGBTQ? So, Hamza, the most important thing that when we are talking about the culture of the organization is the inclusion of everyone. So when we have let's say uh, policies, different policy or most organizations have right now about the development and then the equality policies. So in that, including everyone and probably having them in the group while drafting these policies is one good idea, so that it's not just a thought that you have, okay, this is how it should be happening, but instead you have real life examples. So again, people might not have access to this group, or people might not know where to begin with. So organizations like ProTouch can help here all again. So this has been helpful. Then yes, I understand that there are going to be stereotypes in the organizations, and this is going to be an issue, but a start is always needed. So I think it's always, Dr. Aparna might also agree to it. It's not needed that every change has to be in one go. We make everything accessible in one go, but a little steps count. One little step also counts. So one step at a time, things need to be changed, and then maybe support groups and inclusion in all the activities that are happening, and then not differentiating. That's also important. Not differentiating people based on their orientation or their identity, and treating everyone alike is important here. So, for example, what happens that at times people feel that okay, HR is mostly dominated by women, and it's a department full of women only. And then there are specific roles. Okay, male people will work better here. So removing these differences that we have is the first step. So in Sagacious, we have a team of both male and female in the HR department, and probably this was the first time that we saw something like this. And yeah, it was noticed. It was said, "Wow, that's nice." So yeah, let's whoever is and whoever is the best for the job should be given that job, and yeah, not considering their orientation in that.
Hamza, I would like to contribute and add to what Monica has said. Monica works very dedicatedly in diversity inclusion. In fact, her company is also now won a award of POSH. Am I right, Monica?
Yes.
So she works in this area. I still recall because she also got training on POSH from us, and that is where everything started with Monica. So, it's very important to work on the mindset of people. We are seeing a similar kind of a journey when women started coming to the workplace, right? We wanted to have a smooth transition, smooth functioning, and we still struggle to do that because I'm not talking about only India, that is Delhi, Noida, Bangalore, and Hyderabad and Chennai, but I'm talking about entire Bharat. Okay, so we still struggle even with women. Second, when we are talking about LGBTQ, let's be appreciative that now, at least on public forum, we are talking about it, isn't it? Many companies use it as a branding also that, see, we have transgenders working with us, right? Like a trophies, companies use few employees. However, we need to bring a human aspect to it. Once transgender or anyone from LGBTQ joins, how team is receiving it to them. You may have policies, you may have, Article 13 talks about equality, but sometimes our social norms takes over even the law of the country, isn't it? And hence we all need to talk about the mindset change, right? Gradually things are changing. However, I will always say, if we are working on formalities, having policy, having one or two employees, instead of formality, let's work on the feelings as well. Once we create that belongingness, and HR plays a major role in this, right? And that is going to be a future because ultimately it's all about talent, and my sex at workplace doesn't matter. What matters is what I bring it to the workplace, my competence and talent, right?
Absolutely.
We have a long way to go, Hamza, in this. However, the journey has started. That is the optimistic picture. That's what I would like to say here. Thank you.
Thank you to adding on to my point, Dr. Aparna. Thank you so much. That gender diversity or diversity in an organization, I completely agree with you, is not just having a good male to female ratio, but actually having representation of different diverse backgrounds in the organization.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Monica. So we do have another question by Marita D'Souza. So she would like to ask, how open is the Indian market towards single mother and a woman starting their career after a break? So
this again is a very nice question. Thank you, Marita. So the situation is changing. There is more acceptance, at least when it comes to the metro cities, but it's still a challenge. We understand it's still challenging. And with the COVID situation, earlier there used to be facilities which were there to help single mothers and women who were starting their career after a break, with the child care facilities and all. It has become a challenge now with the COVID situations. Now there is work from home situation also. People want to come back to the offices also, but then where do you leave the child? So this is a challenging atmosphere right now. But in the metro cities, it's becoming more applicable. But we cannot say something similar for everyone. For all over India, the change needs to be there. The more acceptance needs to be there. And I think more and more organizations are becoming cognizant to the fact that this needs to be addressed, and this is where, when only monetary benefits cannot help with the retaining the employees and getting the full contribution, but there needs to be extra benefits and things like this, where there are several parenting programs or parent help programs, and this has been helpful. And I understand, like sites like Sheroes and other, there are other who are specifically made for women who are starting their career after break. But yeah, this is a huge area. There are, and then in our own community, if in HR there is a break in the CV, many times the CVs are rejected, they don't even go to the table. So this mindset needs to change, this needs to start, the change needs to start from us. And this is where we are doing it, we are changing, but one step at a time, but this needs more changes.
Okay, thank you, Monica. Thanks for your answer. So I would like to take next. We are waiting for some more questions. So we are requesting people, if you have any question, please ask that so we can proceed accordingly. Yeah, welcome, Marita. Thank you for your question as well. So we are
I
there
think,
to help you all.
Marita, I would also like to throw another side of it. How many Indian women are open for the career after a break? Sometimes our self-limiting beliefs also decides that, I want to be at home, after a break. And again, I'm not talking about India, I'm talking about Bharat, because we think that it's not happening in my family. That means it is not happening anywhere. So there is a struggle from both the sides. However, I will suggest one thing. If it is Indian market, US market, any Bangladesh market, any market, company needs talent. If you are on a break and if you have lost complete touch, with your skills, for example, how to write an email, how to talk over the phone, your personality, English communication, maybe whatever that can be, communication, your confidence, and if the company needs to rework on that, then none of the company will hire. So it is also very important, because we have seen people, women go on career break for around 5-6 years and they lose their confidence. They don't develop their networking skills. They don't invest in their professional relationships, isn't it? They stop investing in themselves. If we keep ourselves updated, then the transition will be easier for us. Otherwise, it won't be. It can go to any market. That is what my take is. Yes. So, Monica, I would like to ask you one question that many students, when they come to our institute regarding, HR generally scores. Whenever we say what HR needs to have, and they always keep on saying HR needs to be people's person, HR needs to be everything, the entire list, empathetic, emotionally intelligent, everything. But business never comes to their mind. So how can we have a marriage or the great alignment between HR and business? If you can throw some light on that, that will be really great.
Yes, so thank you so much for this question. So Dr. Aparna, that is the main thing that happens. We always consider HR as only the support function. That is always in our mind, that we are okay, the HR is going to be the support function. That's what people think, we are going to help them build the sales department and everything. But HR in itself is not just the support, but it has emerged as the profit making center also. So this is where this needs to happen, that taking interest, like from beginning, from the hiring part and everything. So if you are aligned with the business, when you think that the HR people are coordinated with this thing, that okay, what is this is happening, the business part is this, that is where everything will come into picture. When you start hiring the right people, when you understand the business, everything will be aligned accordingly, and this needs to happen. Only then will this, so the correct words used by you, the marriage between the business and the HR needs to happen to get the best advantage from the HR.
Somewhere I've observed, like today also in the morning, I was into campus drive, from one of the universities. There were 30 people applied for the job. And it all starts from somewhere in campus, that in campus it is instilled somewhere, sales is a target driven and HR is not a target driven.
Yes.
And
yes.
if HR is not target driven, or any function which is not target driven, how can we get a seat at table, and how can we run a business?
Yes.
So how one can develop that target driven mindset, Monica?
Yes. So this is the most everything that we are doing right from the be it the hiring, everything then needs to be target driven. And this business acumen will come from there only when things are aligned in that manner properly. So be it the small functions that we are doing, and the cause, let's say, starting from there. So what are the number of calls that one is going to make? What are the number of then there is going to be a tracking of all the things that are happening. Okay, this has been not just the stereotypical attrition rate, high rate tracking and stuff, but going beyond that, what has been the quality of the hire. So this is where the role of HR analytics also comes into hand in helping in developing that acumen, where we are thinking in terms of numbers, not only just in terms of definitions or in terms of words, but the thinking in terms of numbers. So the HR will have to first of all go back to school and start learning, where we do not just limit our thinking to the human emotion part. That is very important in the HR. That is very important. The emotional quotient is important, but then we need to start thinking in terms of number. What is my job bringing the in the business? How am I contributing in the business? The HR, how is the HR contributing in the business? How is that going up? And when that thinking starts, then all things start like coming into place.
You said it so well, getting attracted to numbers, because if you look at MBA institutes or anywhere, people don't go for finance because there are numbers and calculations.
Yes.
People don't go for marketing and sales because there is marketing, you have to be on field and there is a lot of travel and there is a target, and hence they come to HR. And now if these are the two things, being aggressive in the market, traveling, going and talking to the clients, getting business, and numbers. These are the two requirements for having successful business. And if we are all going away from that, then it becomes really tough. I think all the participants on this forum needs to think about it. If you do not like, numbers and targets, then even HR is not meant for you.
Yes.
That is one message.
Very beautifully put by Dr. Parna, that yes, we have to, the HR needs to go back to that mindset where they start loving the numbers, start loving your numbers. What are the percentages that are happening? And then there are different things when we start diving into that pool, that sea. So, and it is lovely once you are prepared for that. When we jump into a pool underprepared, then things are a little tough. The waters are a little deep. But when we are prepared, when we know how to swim there, then it's not that tough.
Very well said, Monica, and very well said by ma'am as well. So basically, we do have another question by Hazma again. That he wants to know that what enhancement we can do in policy regarding the paternity leaves. That is something, a question very from different part, but yes, we can answer that if possible.
So yeah, this is a topic that is actually in discussion. So yes, traditionally a role of mother is seen in the development, and because the mother is giving birth to the child and everything, so it's understood, okay, it's only the role of the mother to have the maternity leave. They need it. There was a time when it was considered a holiday, that was not considered like necessity. Thank God that it's being understood how important it is. And in a country like India, where we have the policy it has been revamped in 2017, which is very helpful. Some organizations have gone over and above and given extra for that. But paternity leave is one thing which still suffers. Many organizations don't have it. Some have it for 5 or 7 days, something like that. Okay, initial. But then there are many new age organizations also which do not differentiate between the gender of the person. They provide leaves to the primary caretaker. So these are the more inclusive organizations which have made these policies keeping LGBTQ community also in mind. So whoever is the primary caretaker, if the kid has even being like it's an adoption case or it's whatever, the leave applies to anyone. So so this is the mindset, this is the progressive mindset that we need right now, and I'm sure that we are going ahead on that step. Slowly and steadily we are taking steps. So instead of I think debating upon what should be the maternity leave or the paternity leave, it should be the primary caretaker, and the leave should be structured around them, plus the role of work from home wherever it is applicable. And COVID has taught us that it is applicable in most of the organization, if we feel it or not. So I think during those times, the transition period, also the work from home, if the fathers are provided with that, and uh, the secondary primary taker, plus whenever a person decides to join back their office, that in the transition period also, this is helpful if they are given with work from home facilities. So the organizations should keep that in mind, the HR should keep that in mind.
Sure. Thank you for your answer, Monica. So we do have another question that is by Vrinda, that how can HR being new into their career help the business and the leadership vision turn into the goals?
I think Vrinda, if you can elaborate a little bit more on this question, it will be really helpful
Yes.
for us. Please
Yeah.
unmute yourself, Vrinda. If you can unmute yourself, let us know what exactly you're expecting.
Yeah. Hi everyone. So basically, being new in the HR, so we have business mindset, business goals, business visions regarding the organization. So one of the like vision in our company is creating the growth mindset in the organization. Yeah. So basically, how can we move ahead, and what are the goals that we, steps should be taken regarding that?
Okay, thank you so much for the question, Linda. So growth mindset is a very important term, and I think this is something that is being used in many organizations. This is what we want to develop, but the steps to it, of course, we understand can be what depends in the organization, how things are going and how the culture of the organization. But the first step can always be to create cohesiveness in amongst the teams. This is how, when people are aligned, they understand each other's pain areas also, and what the good things are, how important the other teams activities are, then things move in the right direction. So number one in the agenda needs to be the cohesiveness amongst different team members in that. And once things start following from that, then there are, depending on the organization and everything, there are different things can be created to ensure that leadership is aligned and the team members are aligned with the goals of the organization.
Right.
I think I would like to give a little bit on this. And Vrinda, this is a consultancy question, okay? We need to charge for it, okay? Because this is very important how you can have it, and many organizations, as Monica said, that yes, people are working on growth mindset, because there is a lot of fixed mindset. In marketing, the products needs to be sold like this. In finance, what kind of flexibility? In HR policies, okay, this has to be done like this. So, on departmental level, there are a lot of fixed mindset companies carry. The process has to be like this. This is a fixed mindset. But when we are a growth mindset, we just push this beliefs back and said, why do we need to do certain things in a such way? So as Monica said, 3 levels: leadership level. Second is very important is your departmental levels. And third is on individual level. So 3 levels you will need to take the steps. And very important here, HR plays a major role in setting up KRAs, giving a rewards and recognition to people who have moved from fixed mindset to growth mindset. Because the kind of behavior you want to bring a change amongst employee needs to be supported by the rewards. If it is not getting appreciated, it will not happen. Okay, so I hope these 2 cents will help you in this.
Very important point mentioned by Dr. Aparna about the KRA. So this is the main, when people are lost, they don't know what exactly their job is. We can give them the JDs and everything. So fixing and creating the KRAs in the beginning and keeping them, like reviewing them time to time and changing them according to the job structure, that's very important in promoting the growth management. Thank you, Dr. for adding to my points.
Thank you both of you for giving that clear light to the question. Thank you. So we do have another question by Sanjana, that she want to know that what is your take on employee monitoring softwares from employee perspective, especially considering pandemic.
I assume that Sanjana, you want to like, I take the liberty of assuming you want to understand that, like, it's not very like, there are two coins, there are two sides of this actually, where one, it feels like, okay, the employer doesn't trust the employee, and the other could be that the employer feels that, okay, the work is not being done, and maybe the work is not on priority that is happening. So there are softwares that are installed in many of the organizations specifically considering, but the organizations need to be considerate. My take on that is that it needs to be balanced. We have to consider it from both perspective, from the employers, because maybe they are charging the clients and the time is calculated on that. I think, and many of the IT firms also, and many of the organizations, there are software which help in calculating how the business is being done and generated, and the charges are calculated based on that. So the employers have their perspective. We understand that is also required, but in the time of pandemic, a flexibility needs to be given, because people have started actually putting in more time in the work from home scenario. What people have observed, that because there is basically maybe clock in करने का time है, clock out करने का at times time ही नहीं है कोई. People are putting that extra effort and everything. So there needs to be a balance, and this is important to strike that balance between the manager and the team members. That way, then HR can help in striking the leniency can be provided, and the employees also should be cognizable, understand that these could be business requirements also at times, but there should always be a trust. There should not be a lack of trust between the employer and employees. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monica. Thanks for your answer. So I hope Sanjana has received the answer as the expectations. So I would like to ask more people to have some questions, so that you can get the clear information about the things which is in your minds, so that you can get a right perception about the HR and everything.
I would like to add to the tracking system. First of all, as employees, why do we have a different attitude towards tracking? We are away from work, and people need to check that. Okay, and believe me, it also works in a two ways, because once you are at home, your people will take you for granted, like your family members will take you for granted, because you're always available. They will also take away your time, right? However, tracking also help us to be on the track, isn't it? Like number of minutes you are talking, number of hours you are working, everything is there, because we are away, and business needs to run. Because see, in the last pandemic also, we have seen many people lost their job. Why? Because business could not sustain. And don't you think it is very important, as business should sustain, so that our jobs will be safe? And for that, sometimes this tracking, reporting help us. Because this is going to be future. Somewhere it is happening, we want all the entire Western culture to be followed. 4 days in a week, no Saturday, Sundays, everything. But we are not ready to accept their other systems of tracking. If I'm at work, means I'm at work. I cannot do my household responsibility. If I'm there at 3 o'clock, that means I'm there at 3 o'clock. So we are not ready to take their behavioral adaptation, but we want our policies, payments, policy, culture, and all the things like them. And sometimes when it happens, oh, this may working outside India, but in India, it may not work. Because tell me now, how many of us have worked for our exams, or have worked for our or done studies without exams? I have a question. Without exams, I don't think so we will study, isn't it? In a similar way, if we don't have a tracking system, as a human being, it is very important, because our mind always get attracted toward pleasure, comfort, enjoy, fun, right? And this tracking will makes us discomfort and makes us work. And that's perfectly all right. At the end of the day, organization is paying us. And this is where the conflict between HR and CEOs will come. HR बोलेगा empathy करो. CEO बोलेगा मैं revenue कहाँ से generate करूँ? And if there is no alignment between business head thoughts and HR thoughts, then there will be always a conflict. That is my take, that never ever go away from reporting. If your boss asks reporting, great. You're working, तो फिर किस चीज का डर है हमें? हम काम कर रहे हैं. That's all. It's a great opportunity for you to show your work and performance, so that next promotion you only should get, no one else. That's all.
That's actually really nice, Dr. Aparna, what that you have added. Just we saw in the COVID times that let's say for women specifically, I would say, who are mothers or who are staying in a joint families. So COVID was a horrendous time, the initial days, because now you are at home, तो lunch में तो अब गर्म रोटियां बना के खिलाओ. तो अभी तक तो चलो मॉर्निंग में जो भी था सब लंच लेके जा रहे हैं, everyone is eating, but now that the women of the household is at home, so we will get hot lunch. You are working from home, तो क्या हुआ, खाना तो गर्म बना सकते हो, इतना टाइम तो मिलेगा. So it's the tracking comes there also handy actually to ensure, my time is counted. I have work to do. I cannot just get up and fulfill all the demands. So balancing there in that act. And as you said, giving the time that is required for work to work and giving the time that is required for family to family, it's important. The tracking is an important part.
We want to track our calories. We want to track everything, our steps. Yes. We don't want to track our work, and we want to track our salaries. Boss, this will not happen. This will never happen.
Very well said. Yeah, thank you to both of you to putting up the light on the right topic. So basically, I also wanted to ask Dr. Aparna as well, that what do you mean by that HR is there for the business as well? They can help in the business of the organization.
See, HR or anyone, I think when we are at business is the priority. We cannot forget that all the employees we want to retain, we want to motivate, we want to attract. For what? For what? To make them happy? Of course, to make them happy. But if it is not helpful for the business, then it is tough. I conduct so many sessions for our Pahul is there, and there are so many people have joined who are our current students. I have a question for them. Every time they feel, oh, attrition is bad. No, attrition is not bad. Few resignations are good for the company. If they are non-performers and someone is going, how attrition is bad? But as a HR, if we try to save a particular person because it will impact my performance and it will show attrition, then there is a question mark. So you need to always call between people and business. And that is the balancing act, right? That it should be good for business as well as for employees as well. Isn't it? So it has to go in hand. See, for employees, it is very clear that I'm the priority. For business people, it is very clear business is the priority. For HR, there are two bosses, and that is where the sandwich happens, always. Okay. And that is where we have to all the time make sure that whatever decision I'm making, I'm hiring someone, I'm firing someone, I'm making some policies, I'm giving someone a promotion. Is it in the betterment of business and employee? If it is not there, then the next target will be you. It's very simple. Fundamentally, let's not expect that someone is going to save you. No, no one can save you. Okay. If you take care of them, they will take care of you. How long? Ultimately, business will impact. Ultimately, everyone's jobs will be at stake. Hence, we need to make some harsh decisions, some courageous decisions, and HR becomes villain. The entire LinkedIn is talking about HR. Is there anyone who is talking good about HR? No, because we are villain in some of the people's story. And that story is hidden because they are hero of their story. So it's very important that we need to make some courageous decisions which are in favor of business and favor of the team, which is existing team. And that is very tough. रात की नींद निकल जाती है जब decisions लेते हो तब, लेकिन लेने पड़ता है. Okay. And it is very sad story that people don't like HR, hate HR, and still they keep talking about HR.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so there is another question for you, Vandana.
Yeah, there is another question, ma'am, by Anjali, that she wants to know that many HR professionals lost their job during this COVID crisis. Why there is so much lack of job security in our field? Is it there is?
Anjali, what I feel in that, not just HR, the COVID was a very uncertain times, and it still is. And we saw many industries shutting down. We saw many offices shutting down. Many of the jobs became redundant. And I think equally there was a cut that happened in the HR. So what happens when, let's say, the budget cuts start, and if the business feels, the heads feel that we won't survive, then a listing needs to be done. What are the functions or what are the areas after which, okay, we will be able to manage? So it starts from this thing. There are many different, let's say, if there are profiles which have become redundant, let's say, I'll say someone who was managing a reception at that time, the company has gone completely, let's say, virtual, and that's very sad and for the person. But actually, there is no job for that person in the organization unless and until that person decides to gain some more knowledge or some other. They start to invest in their skill development and they develop a skill set where they can be more useful. So similarly, if there was a function where a lot of people was, let's say, there was a BUHR or HRBP who was handling a big the department and business part, and then many people were let go of that program, and then the role of that HR will also shrink down. So it is going to happen. So similarly, I think that is where I don't feel that it's mostly on the HR. I think due to the situation, it is on all the departments similarly. And when things become tough, the best survives. So the aim should be to make yourself the best. So it will happen for all departments, in the sales also, in the marketing, in the operations. Those who will be performing the best will be retained. Those whose performance is compromised might be let go. So in the HR also, that has to be, you need to upgrade your skills. You need to be prepared for everything and just upskill yourself and be relevant. If you become irrelevant, then that's going to be a problem. I hope this answers your query, Anjali.
I hope that she got the answer.
I'm looking forward to Dr. Aparna also. She is a knowledge bank. Dr. Aparna, would you like to contribute something here?
Surely.
See, in this country, on this planet, no one has a security, even Kohli for that matter.
Yeah.
Am I right?
I saw that real example. Yeah.
See, it's very simple. People are there with you, company want you till the time you perform. If someone is not performing, they just go. Very, very clear it is. And when we separate, generally the experience is not that great because finally it is like a breaking up, isn't it? So generally these things happens and both the sides we bleed. Okay. And as you said rightly, Monica, it's very important. We come from that thought, Monica, that in India, what was most important? Government jobs. Am I right? Why
Yeah.
government jobs? क्योंकि काम नहीं करना और सेफ्टी मिलती है. हर एक का ड्रीम होता था government job. We come from that thought. Now we are coming to same to the corporate. It will not happen. And even in government now, it will not happen.
Yes.
If you read Future of Work, by Deloitte, please read these reports on Google. What is going to happen by 2030? Each one of us are going to have 2 to 3 jobs. We are going to have 2 to 3 jobs at a time, and that is the reality in Japan. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Right.
And in that, all of us are going to be in contract basis. Because I'll tell you what, earlier companies used to give us great environment, pick up and drop, canteen, and all this goodies, right? To attract, retain, motivate, everything. But now what happened, instead of respecting that, employees have started taking as an entitlement. वो तो सब देते हैं. Now what is happening? Okay, सब देते हैं, so that means after giving also you're not happy. Right? So let me take it away, because now as it is a cost for me. Okay? What I will do, as it is, there are permanent people, there is no guarantee of performance, there is no guarantee of anything. The way companies can ask you to leave, in the similar way, employees can also pick employer anytime. Am I right? But
Yes,
rules
yes.
are all on employers. They are bad otherwise. So rules are there from all the sides. So there is no trust in this relationship. So better what I will do, you come, you do this work on contract basis for 3 months, you better perform and you take. So I don't have to give you PF. I don't have to be bothered about your laptop machine. I don't have to be bothered about pick up, drop. Entire employee cost is going down. On top of it, if this person doesn't work properly, I can renew the contract with someone else. That employers also get flexibility. Employees also get flexibility. Getting my point? So Pahul is working with one, suppose for example, he's a great recruiter, right? Great. Pahul will work with 10 different clients and he will make sure that I will get X amount of money next month. And then see how Pahul's entrepreneurship skills will come out. But till the time when you know that salary is going to get credited next month, we all want to work like sometimes like a government organization, which will not happen. And in every organization, you will see 80-20 ratio. 20% will work like a competition, work really great. 80% have देखेंगे क्या होगा अगले महीने का अगले महीने देखेंगे. How? Companies cannot survive. From where will they get money? Think about it. In this world, no one is secured. Life में भी नहीं, career में भी नहीं, कहीं पे भी नहीं. That is what I will say. Perform. Even in relationships, are you secured? Marriage ho, commitment ho, you don't perform, you are out. So it is everywhere we have to perform. And similar kind of commitment is required.
Very well said.
Yeah, am I right? You're a mother,
Right.
father, you're a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. You don't give time to them. You don't give respect to them. You don't work the way they want. You're out. ये नहीं तो कोई और सही, और नहीं तो कोई और सही, और नहीं तो कोई मैं अकेला ही सही. Life तो चलती जाएगी. So that is how it is for all the employees also.
Right, ma'am. Very well said.
So don't perform, no security. Perform, security. Great.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks for the great advice. I can say that.
See, that's a reality. Monica knows it very well. Monica has worked with one company for great number of years. So, if we think that if we jump and we get a job and we are secured, no, not possible.
And it's actually important also to challenge yourself. This
Absolutely.
idea of security. So when I was leaving that organization, many people actually came up to me and they were like, why are you leaving? Like, are you going to be a stay-at-home mom now? Why would you? Because people could not fathom it. They could not imagine it. Oh, she was doing great. Everything was going fine. Everything was good. Why would someone like that leave a job? But then people don't understand this thing. Then we have to get out of, as you said, the sarkari naukri wala mindset. If there is stagnation and you start feeling that you are not being challenged enough, then you need to take up those challenges and you need to take harsh decisions. So yeah, come out of that safety net. That's important.
Yeah, very right. So there is someone, Swati Kumar is there. So she has briefed about the things that in spite of having good experience, if you restart your career after a gap because of your delivery and upbringing your child, the companies provide you the small package as and recruiters doubted you on your stability, on your capabilities, whatever you will be able to make balance between your
Yeah.
Professional and
professional
personal
and
life.
personal life. Sometimes I felt like why I opted HR as my career.
So, Swati, what I can say that I'm like sorry that this situation happened, and I understand completely. I said it, I think, in between in some of the discussion, that we as a HR also have this mindset. If there is a gap in the CV, sometimes the CV does not even go to the table for the manager to see, and even managers at times they reject the CVs based on the gap and do not take the interviews also to check if this person is actually with this person will be able to do this job. This mindset needs to change, and we as an HR, like this is a small community of people we are sitting here. It needs to start from us, and we need to stop doubting the commitments of others. Uh, this if someone is I understand that this has been not a very bright, I think, experience, but I think it has doesn't like do much with the HR being you being in HR. Had you opted for any other career options, also you there are chances you might have faced similar situation because of the human conditioning, how people think, and I'm sure that these are changing. But what needs to happen, Swati, is to take those little steps, not like the adversities that you are facing, not let them deter you, not let them break you. Keep working hard, even if you get freelance work, like be engaged. Don't wait for that perfect job to come up your way when you will have that perfect salary and everything, and then you will start your work. Instead, be engaged. Stop that gap now. Take up whatever work is coming, start with that. Keep yourself abreast with the news and everything. Keep your there are doubts in the mind of the HR. Okay, if there is a gap, this person is not ahead in the latest developments in the industry. So take up courses, challenge yourself, keep yourself abreast in whatever the changes are happening, and be on a lookout, be active. So I know that this can be difficult, but it's not unachievable. This can be achieved.
Thank you, Monica. Thanks for your answer. I hope Swati has got the answer which you want to have. So I think the time is also coming up to summarize the thing. So I would just ask Aparna ma'am to summarize the session, to give a summary of the thing.
Okay, so first of all, heartfelt thanks to Monica for taking out, time from your busy schedule. The session, was extremely insightful. Thank you so much for that. And there are a few takeaways from this are like HR is a Fevicol for the organization. I think that is very important. Then you also said about, uh, seat on the table, seat at the table, which is very, very important for all of us to keep it in mind. And I'm also thankful for many people who asked few questions, but asked really wonderful questions. And they I think expressed their heart out about the jobs, about HR mindset, about society mindset, and we also had some discussion about diversity, inclusion, and how COVID has impacted our life. So that is how it is. However, this topic is very big, and covering it in 1 hour becomes very tough. Uh, and on that note, I would like to thank once again to Monica and Vandana as well. Here I will
Thank you,
say
ma'am.
that we can stop the session. But
Yes, please.
if we have any participants like uh, for example Percy, Matia, Paromita, if you want to talk to us about any course details, anything, we will stay back and handle your inquiries. Okay, so that's what I will say. And thank you once again to Monica and others to join in.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you so much, everyone, and thanks to ma'am and Monica for giving your time to us. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Vandana, and thank you, Dr. Aparna, for having me here. It was a wonderful discussion that we had, and I was really happy to see the perspectives that Dr. Aparna also brought on the table. So, thank you so much for
I want to
this.
thank you for even many other things. Like, first of all, yes, our relationship. Another thing is about the course. You are also passed out from HR analytics course. And second, very important thing, Monica always help us lot with our placements. She,
Right.
whenever there is an opportunity, ProTouch is the first place where she approaches. So thank you so
Yeah,
much for
that
that
comes
as
from
well.
the trust. So I think I just came once for the posh session, and the energy in the organization, the energy with that we shared, and it was infectious. I wanted to stay back. I wanted to be there because I like that sort of energy. And when I trust someone, then I stay
Yeah,
connected with them like we have.
thank you.
So,
I
yeah,
was
Thank you
thank
so
you.
very,
much.
thank you.